don't want people thinking like, oh, like he's my friend and so he might be my husband, or she's my friend and so she might be my wife. Like, absolutely not.
There's quite a few creators that do 10,000 in their first month, right? Or 20 or 15,000, right? But just on average, right, you can do simply 500 to 1,000 on your first month. Extra 500 to 1,000, easy.
That's a decent amount of money. One of the things that faith does to you, and this is one of the things that always helps you to push forward no matter whatever the circumstances, and that's beautiful. I think my wife and I would have discussed maybe 10 times that, maybe more, that we should start something on our own. We should start a channel together, but it's just to put yourself out there. I think it takes a lot of courage. It took me a lot of courage to start this podcast.
So the program is TikTok's program, and our company was hired to help operate within their program. So we're definitely getting paid directly from TikTok. We're hired into the to hire as coaches and teachers in the program.
Hello everyone, this is BizUp episode 9, and I have with me Jordan and Jasmine. They're the founders of Wild Things, which is a creator club which helps streamers to go live on TikTok. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
First of all, I love that you guys are twinning.
Yeah.
Like, very nice. So you guys got married. You are engaged. What like, because I saw your TikTok ID, it was friend to fiance. So is it right now fiance or is it wife now?
Yeah. So she's my wife. So our story is friend to fiance, because we went from friend to fiance. And I appreciate the compliment on the gear. We love our PJs for sure. Yeah. So basically how it happened was we were friends, and we'll get into the details, but a year later, I actually proposed to her out of a friendship. So we never dated, we never had sex, we never kissed, we didn't even hug with two arms like while we were friends. We were genuinely great friends. So we got married, or engaged rather, out of a friendship.
Oh, and so when you decided to do that, so like, did you guys at least know, like, that you're in love now? Like, how did you realize it's not just the love that, like, how you love someone as a friend, but like you knew that you love them enough that you want to spend the rest of your life with them?
Sure.
How did that feeling happen? Like,
I'll speak for me. So I had to learn that. Like, I loved him as a friend, but I had to learn how to love him as my husband. So friendship was our foundation, and I knew he was like a man of love and a man worth loving, but I had to learn how to do that.
Yeah. So simply put, so we never like talked about dating or anything like that. What it was is, after I got out of my last relationship, I started to go even deeper in my relationship with God. So for me, as I began to go deeper with God, I believe he started to reveal certain things to me. And one of those things I believe he put in my heart was, the next woman you be with needs to be your wife. So the next woman you commit to needs to be your wife. So I just made it from that point forward. Like, well, if God says, right, like in the Bible, it shares, if that you should wait until after marriage, right, to have sex. Now, obviously we wasn't virgins, but if it says that you should wait until after marriage for the intimacy, and the greatest difference between a friendship and a romantic relationship is the intimacy, then that must mean that I can find my friendship my soulmate through a friendship, because the intimacy should come after, at least that's the way that God showed me.
And that wasn't our intent. So like, we don't want people thinking like, oh, like, like he's my friend and so he might be my husband, or she's my friend and so she might be my wife. Like, absolutely not. We were both kind of like on our individual journeys, like pursuing God. And so we didn't know that God had kind of like shared with us the same message in different forms at different times. And so I had gotten out of my last relationship, and I had told God, I said, I've seen what I can do for me, and it's not a lot. I said, so you're going to have to send the next one. And I was just done dating. I'm like, this is toxic. This is not healthy. Like all things. And so when God told me I needed to stay somewhere, I didn't understand why. But when he proposed, I was able to make that correlation. So he kind of like shared two different messages with us at two different times, not knowing that like they would complement each other at a later time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Jordan, so you proposed to her, right? So you were the first one who knew that, like, okay, uh, right, that she's the one, right? And
Yeah.
if like my question to you is like, so if you knew that, okay, what I have to do is uh now the next step that I want to do is get married, and I would rather do it with a friend and not get into a relationship and not commit to anyone unless it is marriage. Uh, how did you know that it was this friend and not any other friend?
Yeah. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Honestly, like when I committed to that journey, there was a lot of different women, whether it was even at church or not at church, any like it was like, wow, you're really like not dating, like not trying to, and it's like, nah, like I'm really staying the course of just focusing on my relationship with God. And as I grow and things, I'll attract the woman that, I'm meant to be with. So it was through a lot of different things. So number one, he revealed it. God revealed it to me through a lot of things. So I'm a firm believer in soulmates. So I believe that just like how God can have a job that's the right job for you, or a family that might not be the best family, but he knows what can be produced out of that family, right? He can like designate different things in your life. I believe it's the same for soulmates. So for me, in my mind, it was never that it was multiple different. It could be this person. Like if these two girls have the same qualities, I can end up going. It wasn't a random thing. I felt like it was a designated divine thing. So I just walked the walk. And throughout our journey, we served a lot together in church. So the first time we ever hung out, so how we even met was on a Saturday. We were at a business convention, and I was standing with my team, and one of my team members went to school with her, and seeing her and was like, "Hey, you guys, this is my friend Jasmine. We went to school together." We all just said hello, went our separate ways. The very next day was her first day at church, at the church that I go to. Right. And a completely different other side of town, like,
Right.
which is really still wild. And then, when we were leaving out, she was like, "Hey, didn't I just meet you yesterday?" It was like, "Oh, yeah. Hey, how are you?" So we ended up exchanging numbers because the pastor released a book that day, and we both had the book, and we were like, "Oh, well, let's talk about the book." So we never chatted, never talked after that. And a few months later is when I had this inclination in my heart, this like, I just got out of this relationship, my last relationship, and I'm feeling like lonely. And then my friend, he was just like, "Bro, just pray about it." And I was like, "Well, I don't want God to think I want a woman right now." You know what I mean? Because that's not what I'm asking him for. He's like, he's God, he'll know. So I was a little bit earlier, in my faith walk. So I prayed, and then something just was like, "Hey, like, there's this question that was on my heart of, do you ever feel empty?" Right. And I was just wondering, who could I ask that question to where I wouldn't get a biased answer. And her name just pops up in my head out of nowhere. So I just reach out to her. We end up on the phone, and her response to it was yes and no. And the amount of wisdom that was just coming off her was crazy. Now, that's after that, I invited her to my small group at church. And then from there, we were in a young adult group, and we were all just friends. And we all did like ministry. We did like giving back. We went to church together. We volunteered together. So we were all just a friend group. And honestly, it was through the growth that I experienced with God, that she experienced with God, and that we experienced within close proximity to each other, that God revealed that she was the one. So I don't think that it was like, oh, I'm saying that she's the one. I think that God was making me into the one and her into the one. And because we decided to go along that path with him, we were led to each other.
Yeah. And to further caveat that,
No, go ahead.
Yeah, to further caveat that, so prior to him proposing, his mom accidentally mentioned it. I said, but God knew that I needed to hear that, because had I not heard it, that same question that you just asked us, I would have asked him. because there were so many women and we just had so many friends, and I would have, why me, why not? Like I didn't see it. And so God was able to prepare my heart and further what's the word that I'm looking for? Further consumerate, I guess, what she had already spoken and what he had already spoken to me, like purely for preparation. Because outside of that, I would have been, yeah, I would have been in a tizzy because I would have had so many questions, and his family would have been like, "Oh no!" Like,
So my mom
what's
spilled the
happening?
beans. My mom spilled the beans,
Yeah.
like a month, like 3 weeks out, because
Yeah.
I was on the phone with her, and then my mom walked in, and she was like, "Hey, I was gonna go out of town, but since you're gonna propose to Jazz, I know we're speeding up a little too fast, but like just saying, like she spilled the beans, so she was able to prepare and process a couple weeks before I just popped the question on her."
Okay. So, throughout you telling me this, I think there was a lot of serendipity was there, right? So some things happened, and then they just happened out of the blue. And then, I also believe in signs from the universe, but I'm not a particularly religious person, but I am a little spiritual. And I mean, I hope no judgments from either side. And I and yeah. So, but I I want to understand, like, how has your relationship with God evolved? Like, have you always been very religious and spiritual? Are you just spiritual? Did it happen later? Has it been in the family? How did that happen?
Yeah. Um.
I know, loaded question, right?
No,
Sorry.
no, you're
No,
good.
you're
You're
good.
good. I'll
You're
go
good.
first. So, when I was younger, I was, I guess you can say, religious, right? So I grew up in a Christian household. My dad was very involved in the church. Like he songs on the men's group. He was a deacon of the church. My grandmother was very involved. I was praise dancing, ushering, all sang in the choir, all the things, right? And it wasn't until I got older that I felt like some components of it was hypocritical. And so because of that, I walked away from the faith, or I walked away from religion, so to speak. And so it wasn't until I got in college and got out of my last relationship that I was able to develop or differentiate relationship and religion. And so I always said that, like, I wanted to practice relationship and not practice religion. And I wanted to, in Elevation, which is where we met, really like brought that home for me. So the day that I entered those doors, it felt different. Like typically growing up in the black church, you see Sunday's best and you kind of see like an act. Like I hate to refer to it as, but you see like a Sunday act. And there you saw people pierced up, tatted up, ripped jeans, colored hair. And I was enamored by it because I said, this is real life. Like this is not made up. This is not, like, let me just show you my best today. And so I just felt like everybody was in their individual walks, relationally with God, and we were just all each other's support system. Like they weren't judging me, I wasn't judging them. And so that really served as a turning point for my faith, where I went from religion to relationship. And so, and even now, like I don't say I'm religious, I'm just a woman of faith. And so really I just truly practice relationship. And yeah, that's all into that.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely echo the same thing. So, it's funny because like even when I was younger, before I even just like knew how to differentiate the difference, I could tell what religion was, right? And I can tell it by like, it was more of like a culture, right? Religion was more of like a culture that even as a kid, I remember my grandmother, she used to run a church, right? And she was a pastor, and she would preach. And when I tell you like she would be sharing some wisdom, right? But a lot of people in there, like my older cousins and older, like I'm like really young, and like my older cousins and things, like they would like kind of like it was like a almost like a repeat every Sunday. They would like say the same things, do the same things, the same movement. It was like very like mechanical, right? And then I started noticing like some of my cousins, like they would all be like low energy throughout church sometimes. And then as soon as my grandmother was like, all right, let me say the ending prayer, everybody would just get like this jolt of energy and smiling and like, oh yeah, that was a great. And I was just like, not just from that, but also just experiencing that at different places growing up, because I did grow up in different churches. And I just seen like, okay, this is a culture. Just like when you go to work, there's a culture in certain clubs, like golf clubs, whatever, like, and everywhere is culture, school, right? I'm like, okay, I can see the culture, but I could also truly feel like the Christ, like the Lord, like the love, that existed as well. But I knew the two was different though.
Yeah.
And so as I got older, so I've really never been a religious person. I never been a religious person. And I always like to explain it like this: like, this phone is a phone with or without this phone case, right? So for me, it's like God is God with or without the phone case, with or without religion, right? God is still God with or without religion, right? And I believe the same thing. Jesus is Jesus with or without religion. And I understand that, like, it's put into two. But when you ask about like how do we get closer, for me, I didn't care if God was a turtle. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I really didn't care. Like, for me, I genuinely do not care what God is,
Yeah.
because I truly believe that God is good, and God has been good to me, and God created me and created us for more. So the question isn't like really like, okay, what do I think God is? For me, it was God. Can you tell me who you are? Because I believe he's powerful enough to create me. He's powerful enough to tell me who he is, right? And that takes a lot of courage, and a lot of vulnerability to like, hey, I don't care about a bias or anything. Like, I'm open to you, God. Just show me who you are, and I'm with following you, kind of thing. And just through his love, and his guidance, and I always feel like that love and sacrifice are connected to each other, right? Like, it's hard to say, like, when we say we appreciate all of our parents did for us, we're essentially saying everything that they gave, everything that they sacrificed, right? If we love our spouse, it's like, I love the things you do. I love the sacrifice that you make for me, kind of thing. Um, and I feel the same way with God. I feel like if God is love, I believe that there is an act of sacrifice that he offered. And I just simply base it not around religion. I base it around love, and so I began to pray that. And then I ended up at Elevation, right, which was an amazing church and is an amazing church. And then that's where I also met her for the second day. But I just tried him, right? Like, honestly, I just kept testing him. I'm like, okay, Jesus, Lord, Holy Spirit, if this is real, okay, then I'm gonna follow these words, not in a sense of like religion or like doctrine, or rules, but more so guidance and wisdom. The wisdom behind it. Okay, so the wisdom is what blesses me. The wisdom is what leads me. Wisdom comes from you. So I'm going to follow this, to see where this leads me. And I'll just wrap it up with, there's a scripture, Matthew chapter 6, verse 33, that I, lived out. It says, seek first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness, and all these other things will be added to you. Right. So it's like, hey, you seek me, you get everything your heart desires, not just the thing that you desire, but I will give your heart the right things to desire that will bless you. And that's the path that I just went on, and which led me to not only stumble into all my other blessings, but also stumble into my soulmate.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. Very fresh, perspective for me as well. I, you know, I mean, if you can tell me, I would want to understand that. Like, I always say that, if I have a very clear conscience, uh, I probably don't need faith. Do you think we always need faith to guide us in to guide us in the right direction? Or if maybe I'm just a, decent human being with a clear conscience, I don't need it at all. That is usually my argument. And, you know, uh, do you have any opinion about this?
That's a great question.
No, yeah, it's awesome. I think you need faith for those moments that you don't have a clear conscience, right? So like when he proposed, I did not have I had a partial clear conscience about it, right? I knew that I had confirmation from God, but I did not have security or confirmation from me. right? Because I wasn't a little girl that grew up aspiring or wanting to be a wife. I had a completely different plan. And so in one part of me, right, where you talk about a clear conscience, I'm like, okay, God, like I totally know this is you. But then the other part of me was like, okay, but you know that this is not you, right? This is the version of you that you've submitted. And so I'm like, okay, like I need faith to help me carry this thing out and to help me walk this out and to help me sustain this. Because without that, I would have diverted back to what I wanted and what I knew. And we say this all the time, like without God and without submission, like we're selfish beings, right? And so I can live within my conscience and what I want and what I can understand and what I know, or I can submit that and I can challenge myself to the things that I don't understand, the things that I'm not confident about, but I know in some way, shape, form, or fashion that they will bless me because I'm relinquishing something that will ultimately further develop me. Not for what I want to do, but for what he wants for me. Like I didn't want Jordan, but God wanted Jordan for me. And so it's blessed me in ways that like I didn't even know or couldn't have even conceptualized, because healthy marriages we didn't come from, right? And so I couldn't even desire something that like I was not familiar with. And so I that's a long answer to what you're asking. No, like I do think that having a clear conscience, it's like, okay, you don't need faith for a clear conscience, but when you don't know and when you're uncertain, like you can only live by faith, because that's the only thing that like oils the engine and keeps you encouraged and inspired and optimistic.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And even to clarify, when she's like, we didn't like want each other, it's more so like we didn't know to want each other. It wasn't like, oh, I couldn't see the value in her, she couldn't see the value in me, right? It was the things that we couldn't see. So we didn't know. So my answer, that would be my answer. I feel like the wisest person knows he knows nothing, right? um and we only know what we know, and we live a very limited life if we only live by what we know. um because I believe that fulfillment, means that the cup is full, right? And then the way that you are able to bless people in abundance is overflow. That means your cup is overflowing and there's so much blessing that it can't be contained and it has to, spill out in other people's lives, right? And without having something that can see the whole field speaking to you about certain decisions, we can make good decisions, but it may not be to the level that we could have made it if we allowed that direction and in that wisdom and that whisper from God to guide us.
All right. So, Jordan and Jasmine, how did you guys decide to get in the space of content creation, really? So was it like, did it start with this channel and you wanted to put your story out there, or were you already creating content and then you got into then you launched this channel as well? How did that journey start, and how did it transition into helping other streamers on TikTok and building a community from it? Can you just explain me that?
Well, we had an entertainment business, and I did music, and also, produced different music and short films and things of that nature. So we started there. Um, how we ended up doing the podcast together, we were actually at a place where we had a rough time agreeing, and it wasn't even about something in particular. It was just being on the same page altogether. It was just something that was just like, you know, um, that we just couldn't, because she comes from like corporate, like she's a military, I'm a creative, so she's used to certain structures. She's got, masters and things of that nature.
Yeah.
I'm creating things and then going the entrepreneur route. Like, so our brains function, differently, and we agree. We It was just hard to get on the same page. So I was praying one day. This is that, like, you only know what you know, right? Like that you need that extra. I was praying one day and I was like, God, you brought us together. I remember she was going, I think she still hasn't come home from work yet. I was like, God, you brought us together, and you have to show me how we're going to walk fully together, like be in full agreement together, because like no matter what we try, it's not enough, you know. And then that's when God was like, literally, this is the impression. This wasn't even on my mind or nothing. It was the impression was launch the podcast together, and you will journey together, you know. And so when she came home, I spoke to her about it. You know, we ordered the sign. We had the sign for months before we even launched it. You know, but just the obedience of taking that next step brought us together on the same page more than anything that we've done prior to before we even launched the podcast. And us launching the podcast is that overflow that I mentioned, and that like we get to experience this on a way deeper level on a daily basis. And the podcast is us, our rim spilling over, you know, of the blessings of sharing it with other people. Like, hey, there's something over here that's very, very, very valuable and worth checking out, you know, and worth knowing, because we didn't know until it was impressed upon us separately. You know, we didn't come up with this like waiting for a spouse or things together. Like God spoke to her separately about that, and God spoke to me separately about that, and at different times before we even met each other.
Yeah.
Got it. And like, what about Wild Things? So that creator network, what was the motivation behind starting that? And why?
Yeah.
And why streamers? Why only streaming and not just you know any kind of content creation? So do you see a future in streaming? What is the thought process behind it?
Yeah, so I'll answer that again. That's on the creative side. So even though we're both creative,
that's his wheelhouse. That is his wheelhouse.
We do these things together. But I would say, well, Wild Things is our company's name, right? But we have different projects and runs different programs, and have different legs under that. So one of those legs is Live Creator Nation. And that's where we work with TikTok live creators and help them grow from 0 to 100. Right. So we've helped throughout the 5 years, you know, that I've been like coaching live creators. We've helped thousands of them, you know, go from making nothing to thousands a month, tens of thousands, you know. So we've been in this for a while. But how it began is 2020 during COVID. I stumbled into live streaming from a friend at the time. He had told me to download an app with live streaming. And then so I hopped on, and then it changed my life forever. Like I was talking to people all around the world. It was like having these great moments. They were supporting me, sending me gifts. I was able to create these whole moments in the house. That was a time where we were all in the house. So I had like extra practice. I was able to put in so many hours because life wasn't busy. And then I grew rapidly, and, you know, definitely earned tons and experienced tons and had so many great memories and moments that naturally we just ended up teaching other people, you know, how to do it as well. That overflow again.
Okay. So let's say I'm a creator, right? And let's say I want to start my streaming career, and I want to go live on TikTok, and I come to you for help. So what kind of help will you provide me?
Yeah, like if we take you for example, right, like where you're at right now, a couple things we would just give them the foundations, and I'll just share some foundational things, right? Number one, your lighting is good, right? But if you're going to be a full-term live streamer, you got to make sure that your background is set up well. Right.
Yeah.
There's a few people who just depend solely on their personality, but we don't want to just depend on one thing. Right. We want everything to work together. So you will get your setup, you know, have some LED lights behind you, you know, get some vibes going, some gamer vibes kind of going, streamer vibes going. You know what I mean? And then from there, now you got an ambiance that you're comfortable being in. So now you're going to stay on stream longer in that vibe room than you would where how it is right now. Right. So that would be the first thing. And then the next thing I would tell you is like, hey, look, you got to get the practice and you got to get the reps in. So go live at least 1 hour a day, minimum for 6 days a week. You know, take one day off. But when you take that day off, you take everything off, work, everything. You just rest, relax, refresh, everything. And then you're back to work and back to streaming 1 hour a day. And what you'll find is you'll start to be on live more than an hour a day. What you'll find is you'll start to enjoy yourself more. You'll start to meet new people. You'll start to make memories, create jokes, tell stories, because now you're experiencing it with a great environment, you know. And then from there we would dive a little bit deeper into, okay, how do you network? How do you build a team? And what how does your monetization work and the money work and so on and so forth.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question. Like, so how much money do you like can a streamer actually make on TikTok? And I mean, I know that's a very vague question, but like, let me go a little precise. So, how much time does it take for one person to actually start making the amount of money that they can start doing this full time and not just a side hustle?
Well, if you do all the things
Hmm.
your first 30 days, right,
Hmm.
you'll make money. And it's not about if you're going to make money, it's about the amount of money that you make, right? So if you're doing all the things, you can easily do 500 to, uh, you can honestly do 500 to $5,000 in your first month realistically. Now, quite a few creators that do 10,000 in their first month, right? Or thing in 20 or 15,000, right? But
Hmm.
just on average, right? You can do simply 500 to 1,000 on your first month. Extra 500 to 1,000, easy.
That's a decent amount of money, I think. Like, if you're starting for, I don't think most ventures will give you that kind of a return in the very first month.
That's
But
that's true.
yeah, so I mean, but let's say I uh, suddenly get up and start to go live on TikTok, right? How do I even attract people? How will that happen? I mean, uh, do I really have to have a very strong niche and have something that I really know about, or do I just like if or it could be something with my personality that is so different that attracts people, or like what is usually the go-to market, if I can say, for people who have just started streaming?
Yeah. So a couple things. One, sometimes when people first start streaming, they're in their kitchen or they're in somewhere casual.
Hmm.
So they're going to be like people attracted to, like, oh, this person just looks like a person hanging out on live,
Yeah.
So there's that first attraction. But if you start to do the background and all of that, then you're attracting people that are attracted to live streams, you
Hmm.
know so when those people, that is a niche in itself, that is a community, right? Like, people who love TV series don't go to the movies to see the TV series,
Yeah.
right? But the movies are still $1 billion business, right? Because it's movies. It's same thing with live streams, right? If you want long form videos, you're going to go to YouTube. If you want short form videos, you're going to go to TikTok. you
Hmm.
know if you want live streams, if you're into live streams, you'll be a live streamer on that feed. The cool thing about TikTok is TikTok actually pushes you out to people. So all you have to do is have something worth showing them, and have a vibe worth them sticking around longer and even following you and hopefully supporting you for you to win. So it's only about you getting better to maximize the audience and the traffic that TikTok's sending your way regardless.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So, what about the all the back and forth that recently happened with the TikTok ban?
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, well, it happened, then it didn't happen, and well, we kind of knew that it wasn't really going to happen. I guess everyone knew that. But uh, was there some uncertainty within the community, and a lot of creators that you might know? Did people start, developing a backup plan, or so? What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely were having the conversations.
Yeah. I mean, people they definitely voiced their concerns, and he definitely did a great job of creating space for that. All the while, like, affirming them not to get distracted, because you have a community, right? And so whatever's going to happen, it's like we can't control what the big wigs are going to do, but you can control how you still feed and how you still show up for your community. And the great thing about TikTok is there's so many different ways for you to feed your community that even if TikTok goes away, um, because one thing about that I've learned from his live streaming journey is when those people support you, they support you, right? Especially when there isn't like any hidden agenda or ulterior motive, like whether that be they just enjoy your vibe, they enjoy your energy, they enjoy like whatever your product is. So for him, that was music, that was people loved being a part of something. So he would incentivize some of his gifters by like, hey, I'll give you a feature, right? Or I'll let you be featured in this music video or something of those sorts, right? And you can transfer essentially those supporters to other platforms if it came down to that. But for the most part, we did have some people leave. You can't control that. We did notice on the platform itself, some highly successful creators, they were taking some of the incentives that other platforms were offering. But for the most part, we just he bunkered down really into like just really affirming our creators on their gifts and their talents and focusing on that and what they can control rather than, things that were outside of our control.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. For us, it was simply just, we have faith though that, it will keep going.
Yeah.
But more so than anything, no matter what, the way in which that we teach the live creators is through a skill set. Mm-hmm. So they'll be able to take these same principles and apply it wherever they go, even if they end up deciding to be a YouTuber or whatever, if they take these same principles. So our confidence wasn't really in that TikTok we're staying or that it was leaving. How we view it is still like through the lenses of a blessing. So if this partnership between TikTok ended, because our company is contracted with TikTok to help these live creators grow. So if that ended, then that just means that God has this next thing for us. You know what I mean? So that's where our confidence really is anyway, because we didn't plan to be here, so
it kind of just fell in our lap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's beautiful. This optimistic attitude, I feel that, one of the things that faith does to you, and this is one of the things that, always helps you to push forward no matter whatever the circumstances, and that's beautiful. So, just funny question, okay? Just tell me, so your, let's say, parents or older relatives or, people around you, do they take your job seriously? Do they, because, I can imagine it, like, the same thing happens where I come from in India, right? And they're like, okay, yeah, that's a real job, and then you're a content creator. And so does that happen to you?
So I wouldn't even say it wasn't even family, it was me, right? At first. Because when you talk about like the artistry and the creative and just all the things, right? When I was first introduced to live streaming, I did not like it. In fact, I hated it because I didn't understand it. And we really didn't have a great understanding. And so I didn't like it. I felt like it was something weird. And I'm like, why are you making all this money? What are you doing? I was like, is it only like it was just the OnlyFans? Like I just did not understand. And so I can say years later, he's definitely helped me in growing an appreciation for it. And I'm able to see the artistry and the commitment and the actual work that comes behind it. So much so that, like, yeah, I went to school and yeah, I spent time in the military, but it makes you question, like, what the heck have I been doing? Like to see certain people live in these different liberties and freedoms. And of course, it's a different kind of work. It's still work. It's just a different kind of work. And so I would say like a couple years ago, like family and friends kind of shared my sentiment. But now where we are today, I think that because it's like so in our face and you can see the success of it, that it's kind of like, you're like, dang, like I wish I would have listened to you a couple years ago. Cause it's, you hear all these people making all these significant deals and you're like, wow, so maybe it's like real, so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really just us, our family. Like we don't really talk business with our family. We kind of, it's
we
really
just experience them.
We're just hanging out, talking about whatever, doing whatever, play fighting, whatever, kind of thing. Yeah, we don't really talk about business, but with us though, it definitely took a while for her to take it, serious.
That was a part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that that could happen, and so because I think the first thing is that it's very difficult to put yourself out there, right? Like I think my wife and I would have discussed maybe 10 times that maybe more, that we should start something on our own, we should start a channel together. But it's just to put yourself out there. I think it takes a lot of courage. It took me a lot of courage to start this podcast. I mean, it was like and I think jobs are going to, and businesses are going to change so much, and they have been changing, and the way we look at uh, people making money or doing their own ventures, and that's going to change so much. And for for us in this podcast, it's about business and it's about founders, and we wanted to get you guys because because the landscape has changed so much, and entrepreneurship also looks very different now. So coming to the business aspect of it, for the viewers, can you educate that where does a lot of money lie in content creation? Is it mostly when you strike some deals with brands? Is it mostly that the platform pays you? What would be the split of it? How does the revenue really work in this?
Well, most platforms, well, many of the large platforms do somewhere around a 50-50 split. Some of them have different incentives that go higher and lower. But honestly, the I don't the I guess mobile live streaming, meaning like the kind of live streaming that happens on TikTok live, rather than the kind of live streaming that happens on Twitch, right? That's more like computer streaming.
Yeah.
The mobile streaming, you can earn a lot if you get it right, because what happens is that, let's say that there's a supporter, and that supporter, so think about a Netflix customer, right? A Netflix customer probably pays maybe 20 bucks a month, right? A live stream supporter gifts that live streamer anywhere between 20 to $2,000 a month, off of one individual. So having those supporters in real time like that, because Twitch is more so like on the uh, subscribers, and then from subscribers, you can get, in viewership, you can get like commercial ad money, and then, you can get sponsorships. But on the mobile live streaming like TikTok, if we're talking about like faster paced and where the field is anybody's for the taking, uh, that would be the fastest form of currency that comes from content creation is TikTok live streaming.
Yeah. Okay. And so you also mentioned that you have a certain partnership with TikTok where they ask you to help creators. And so how do you monetize that? Does TikTok pay you when creators start doing well, or do creators pay you for whatever learnings and course and mentorship? So
Yeah, it's definitely the first one. So the program is TikTok's program, and
okay.
our company was hired to help operate within their program. So we're definitely getting paid directly from TikTok. We're hired into the to hire as coaches and teachers in the program.
All right. And so the people that come to you, do they come to you directly, or they they register on TikTok and then they ask you to help them? So
So it's through TikTok, but so you have to apply on TikTok, but you can come to me directly, they might come to my page for the link, or if somebody else on our team sends them the application link, like, so you have to have the application link to apply.
Okay. And TikTok has to approve you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And what is the wildest success story that you can tell me? Like some person who has gone from this X to Y in some time.
And not me, not including us,
not
right?
including yourselves, of course.
Well, I mean, there's plenty. I mean, the wildest is definitely us, for sure. Because when I started live streaming, just throughout the 5 years that I've live streamed, like, I'm a $1 million earner live creator. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that was a amazing ride. I mean, I'm still on that ride. It's just I'm just doing a lot of coaching now as well. But I mean, I guess yeah. Most recently, I guess we can say well, we'll do. So there's two creators. One. Well, there's quite a few creators, honestly. So we're not going to say any other. Well, I guess we can shout them out, right? Well, I'll tell you what. There's some creators that has done amazing. So this one creator is Don Dada, right? So she started from a place of literally making maybe a couple of dollars, maybe like $10 here, $20 there, and she had a rough time conforming to the information that we gave because a lot of people have their own ideas in their mind of what they should do and how they should do it. So uh, it's throughout the month she starts seeing other people grow more and more. She was like, there's something that I need to get right. So she ended up applying herself. So she went from literally earning maybe about um, 500 bucks a month, and then she was like, you know what, this following month I'm gonna do $5,000 worth of, I'm like, okay, cool. Next month she did it. She asked for whatever else she needed. The following month she did 10, and then the following month she did 12, I believe. And then this month, she just hit a new high of 15K, in a month. And she hasn't even been a streamer for a year. So I would say maybe 7 months. I would say 7, 8 months, maybe somewhere around there. So, and these is what she's making each month. Now, another creator, Yennefer, she's been a live creator for a while, but she just started on TikTok. She did uh, 10K in her first month. And it's not to say that like, oh, you're going to do that every single month, but if you have the ingredients of the foundation of it, you'll do well for yourself each month. Some months will be higher than lower, but you'll do well for yourself. Let's see another creator. Her name is Mara, the real Mara. Y'all can look up all these people on TikTok as well. But she's like a battle banterer, and she just they love her banter and they love to beat up on the other opponent. Like, because you can have these live streamers that go against each other, and it could be your supporters versus theirs. And they just go crazy for her, and she's got invited to TikTok, has got many incentives. There's so many. I mean, another one, SW, she S Dubs. She's like amazing. She gets into the arts of things and in the crafts. So she puts on characters on live, and she's like a teacher. And Jazz Victoria, she's a gladiator on stream. Like when she's doing all the things, she just slay. So there's plenty.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there clearly a lot. Uh, you can, and yeah, I think a lot of people should know that this is the uh, uh, amount of opportunity that is out there, really. And I love how you named all the female streamers. By the way, love that.
Oh yeah, I guess they are all female. Yeah. We got some fellas that go crazy as well.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. So it's so it's again, I think, another art to keep that engagement going and trying to stay relevant, not just over a period of months and years. And then maybe you have to kind of keep pivoting and try to find some new areas to explore. And some so how how do you do that? How do you go about that in terms of generating that uh, engagement continuously, trying to retain your community over, let's say, 5 years, 10 years? Otherwise, because it in the entertainment industry, be it anything, it's very difficult to keep yourself relevant, right? So what should be the ideal strategy for that?
Well, when it comes to relevancy, it's not so much needed to keep yourself relevant as it is to just like keep rolling. Like the consistency of you in that space and you continuing to revise what you do, just sharpen it a little bit by little bit. Like, for example, let's say today you're interviewing us, or you're interviewing us in front of like in this, right? And then the next time we see you, you have the name of your podcast, above your head, right? What that does in our brain is it's like, oh, there's growth happening there, right? And then so if we keep that same principle, just as we continue to just stay the course.
Yeah.
If we just evolve as we continue to stay the course.
And if you have something of value, people will listen, right? Like, just keep showing up for them, and they might, like, retreat to the shadows, or, might be distracted for a little while. But prime example is us. Like, we haven't recorded for our podcast in a while just because of the demand of, the content creation piece. So, like, I'm sure our people are, they're distracted somewhere else. But once we roll back out with valuable content, they'll come right back to us. So I think that's a great part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. Just, and you got to discover what your thing is, right? But you only can discover it by reps, and then getting close to people who do it as well, like who does great jobs, or that just can teach you how to do a great job. That helps to learn the curve a lot.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So perseverance in providing value. I think it's probably the same principles for any business. Same thing happens for content creation as well, I guess. Uh, how do you guys really you are doing a lot of things. How do you manage your time? Is it like, do you have enough work life balance, or do you need to work on weekends? Do you have a to-do list that you have to go through? How do you are you able to manage it easily?
Well, we're constantly trying to hire the right team. That's honestly what it is. We honestly are constantly trying to hire the right team. So um, whether it's through different VA companies or individuals, we're trying to hire the right team that can help sustain, this overflow of blessing that we have.
Yeah. And that's professionally. And personally, like, just to speak to the marriage piece, like, it comes with sacrifice, right? So there was a season where he supported me, right, in my professional endeavors, and then there was a season where I supported him. And so it's not always preferred, right? Because again, when you go back to your individualistic perspective, marriage requires a certain level of submission. And so in that, I'm like, okay, God, like, I'm honoring you by honoring my husband. So therefore, I'm going to give you this in this season. And that's a part of it too, personally.
Yeah. So selflessness in our marriage. Yeah. Because we never even looked at it like, even though it was exactly her supporting me or me supporting her, we just looked at everything for the most part, as joint, as together, and that's a whole nother question, a whole nother thing. But we don't even do like the whole separate bank accounts, and like we don't even do all of that. We just work very hard on unity, and we do that through the common ground. And then, so this is her ground, this is my ground. The common ground will be the middle, and that means that there has to be ground in the middle, and that ground for us is our faith in Jesus and in God. And that way, when I'm being selfish or she's being selfish, like, we can point back to, like, well, what does God say about this? You know what I mean? And then, so it helps us out a lot. It really does bless us. And we couldn't have, and we couldn't have it without the Lord. Like we genuinely couldn't. Like, we tell each other, like, the first painting I ever purchased for her it says, the best thing I love about you is the Jesus in you. Right. Yeah. And that's that selflessness, that love. And that's what we say, like we're only, like, if I walk away from the Lord, or if she walks away from the Lord, this doesn't exist. Our life doesn't exist. These blessings, because it's like, when you're walking in faith, you're out there in water, and it's like, if you try to take your will back and do your own thing, then you begin to sink, because you didn't make your way out there in the first place. So she had her own ideas. I had my own ideas. And what helps us live in the fulfillment of that soulmate thing, which is way beyond anything that we could even, like, I can have her and still not experience that fullness, And I think that a lot of times we can settle for just having it rather than experiencing it to its fullness. So for us, and it's more so about God being able to guide us and lead us to a place that is peaceful for us and prosperous, right? And purposeful, rather than just being one or the other.
And then lastly, I'll say, like, advocate what you need, and then delegate, like, outsource some responsibilities. Like,
Yes.
I don't have time to be scrubbing toilets. Like, and I know that might sound like, but I don't. And so we outsource that, right? When it comes to, I mean, we would pay somebody to fold our clothes if we could, so it's just.
Which we can, and I've been thinking about lately. You know what I mean?
Like various ways to get our time back and just advocating for what we need. Like if I see that he's tired and fatigued, because he won't realize it. I'm like, but I know I'm experiencing you, like, you're tired, like you need to take a day off, you need to go relax, whatever. And so we help each other in those areas.
Yeah, that's really good. We do pick up each other's slack. Like we look to compliment each other, and it didn't happen like this overnight. We had to build and form and figure it out. But
because if not, we recognize that there's opportunity for resentment. Like, oh, why do I have to do this? Or you should be doing this, or you're not helping me. When you can just voice that, say like, hey, like, can you help? Do you mind?
Yeah, and it's just better when we're looking to pick up the ball.
Yeah.
If she's filling up the dishwasher, or if I'm filling up the dishwasher, we don't care. Like, we're not, because we're serving each other throughout our days all together. So we don't nitpick on something that I might do a little bit more, or she might does a little bit more, because we both do.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. I think that makes a lot of sense. And, like sometimes people say that, marriage is 50-50. But, I say that it's not 50-50, because there will be days when I'll be feeling 20 and the other person will have to fill in the 80, and the other way around, right? Because you will have your moments, you will have your days, but at the end together you have to be 100, and that's it.
Yes.
100%.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
Jasmine, so do you still have your full-time job?
So I'm in the Army, but I'm in the Army part-time. I'm a reservist. I did do like 5-6 years full-time, but now I'm in the part-time status. And I do have several different trades that I do juggle on a full-time basis. Yeah.
So long story short, no. Yes, all of our businesses, take care of us, so yeah.
So when you guys thought that you are going to be working together, didn't you ever feel like if we work together and we live together, then there will be no space at all? Like, so does it ever happen that you're like, okay, we might like to spend a few hours away right now because it's just getting too much?
Actually, it's funny because I say all the time, like, I'll have like epiphanies in the house, and I'm like, oh my God, you don't get on my nerves. Like, we could literally have been around each other all day, unless we're just like in a weird space or in a tizzy. But outside of that, I'm like, he really is my best friend. And I know there's moments where I'm just like, oh, I haven't spent time with you all day, or I just want to talk to him because he's the only person I have to talk to, right, in the house. But outside of that, we very much have like our individual, I guess, things that we enjoy, right? So whether that's the gym, or for him that's going for a walk, or I still have like duties, like where, okay, I need to go grocery shopping or do certain things. So we do spend time away from each other. And because I do still have Army duties part-time, like I'm still away, right? Which often gives us like a break away from each other. But for the most part, I would say no, but very rarely, every now and again, we might have a moment where it's just like, he's just like, oh, I just need to duck away. And we do have space within the home where it's kind of like he has his own space. And, in those moments, I'm like, I won't bother him.
Yeah. So like she has her office, I have my stream room, kind of thing. So we got our own spaces as well. But when we first began this path of, like, all right, we're going to work together, do all things, that was a concern in my head because of where we were, we were not at this place in our marriage yet. So it was just like, I don't know if this is going to work, kind of thing. But yeah, it's been pleasant. We've just been, looking on ways to just enhance it and make it better. We got some ideas that we want to do with our yard and make it like a lounge area for us. So, even though when we're working from home, we can still have that fresh air and have a beautiful place to lounge. And so we're working on ways to make it even more beautiful.
Yes.
Right. So where do you guys live right now? In the
Florida.
Florida.
Yeah.
Right. So you guys moved here recently, or where did you guys grow up exactly?
New York and North Carolina.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, she went to school in the Carolinas, and that's why she was in the Carolinas, and her mom moved to the Carolinas. and then that's where we met.
Right, right. And so your uh, parents were also born in the US, or did they move to the US?
Yeah, they
They're
were
born
both
and raised.
yes,
Yeah.
yep. Hmm.
Okay, all right. And so you guys from the last two generations are, so you are American, right? Uh,
Yeah.
Totally. So, what is like your, do you think about the current political turmoil that has been going on in the US? Uh, are you guys also like, uh, politically, are you guys, uh, do you have a common stance, or do you sometimes get divided on that or
No,
anything?
not at all. Because we take the same stance. Like we don't worry about what we can't control, right? We just worry about what's in our control. And especially with me still being in uniform services, it's already a very tense environment, right?
Yeah.
And so we're actually not allowed to discuss politics for that particular reason. And so I've just never cared enough because again, I'm like, well, I can't control anything, and so if I'm going to worry about anything, I need to worry about like my local Republicans and senators, right? Instead of worrying about what POTUS is doing. So,
Yeah. Or
I mean, senators, not Republicans.
yeah,
What am I saying? Yeah. I need to
but
No, I got that.
yeah, but I would say though, we don't treat anything like it's God but God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's
good. I like how you put that.
So yes, we we notice, we pay attention, we vote, all those things, right? But we don't treat anything like God but God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not taking it to heart, for sure.
Got it. All right, then, guys, I think I'll move to the last segment of the podcast, which is basically a rapid fire round. Okay. So I will ask you 5 very quick questions,
Okay.
and you guys can give me 5 very quick answers, and you guys can go one by one, right? Let me just open it up. All right. So, okay. So, what is the weirdest DM you guys have ever received?
Send me your Cash App and I'll send you $50,000.
Actually, yes. Yeah, those. Those. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yep. I forgot about those scamming ways. Yeah.
Yeah, of course they will send. Uh, okay, an influencer that you would never work with.
There's a lot. Just because they just are like walking red flags. I don't even know them, but they pop up and be like, no.
Some I wouldn't mention.
Yeah. That's funny. That's good. That's good. I like it.
Oh, lovely. Okay, a social media trend that you hate.
I don't think I have any. I hate.
No?
No?
There are some that I don't. Oh.
Negative comments. That's a
Yeah,
hate. That's a trend.
I don't like the negative
Yeah.
comments. Yeah.
Yeah. Where
The trolls.
it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, this is the perfect place that I can just be completely negative. Let me go for it. Yeah. Kind of. Because there are pages, like blog pages where the comments are mostly full of criticism.
I know it. It's the and I guess it's really not like a trend. It's really like what social media is curated for. But like the social media post versus the in reality post. Like, yeah.
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 Right. Apart from the question, so you mentioned hate. So have you guys experienced ever like a lot of hate comments or anything? Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, well, I'm a streamer, so when you're a live streamer, you get the hate comments in real time.
The
You know what I mean? But they're just called trolls. They're not.
Yeah.
It's not really like, people don't know, but it's not hate. It's trolling.
Yeah.
So it's whatever. But yeah, and it's crazy because on your post you can like feel some kind of way and then gather yourself or decide what you want to respond to. But in real time,
They see
your facial reaction and everything, so you grow to be immune to it.
Yeah. So like that is how you think eventually you have to deal with it, is to get immune to it. Like you really Can't let
Yeah.
it get in your head.
Yeah. Just like any other burn. Just like you go to the gym, you know what I mean? Like you get immune to the, you know, the pain of the lifting the weight, the tension. Yeah. Yeah. Because it really doesn't matter. You got to know, like there's people who watches TV shows that they say they don't like, but they're entertained by it. You know, so when you're online, even if you're on there with a personal account, if your account isn't private, then it's public, then that means you're an entertainer. You might be entertaining one person or two people, but you're an entertainer.
Yeah. Actually, that does make a lot of sense. So next question: how long can you survive without Wi-Fi?
Oh, you can't. You can't.
For 1 hour, no?
You wish you maybe got like a good hour. That's about it.
So without internet or without Wi-Fi in particular?
No, without internet.
Okay, all right. I mean, well,
That's our business.
That's our business is.
Yeah, maybe when you sleep at night, then yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we got to figure this out.
All right. So final question, guys. So if you have to give one piece of advice to content creators, what would that be?
I say have fun. I like have fun, because the moment that you don't have fun, or the moment that, I mean, it is a job, but the moment like it feels like a job and you don't enjoy it, like you have people that are under your influence that are suffering from your lack of enjoyment. So just have fun.
Yeah, I would say don't be your normal self. Be a amplified, funner, more fun, creative, and consistent version of yourself.
All right, then. I think that was a great rapid fire as well. Guys, I had so much fun talking to you guys. I really hope we can meet again. And, great entertainment. Like, really. I had a lot of fun. I can see why you live stream. And, but yeah, I really hope we can catch up again. I will reach out to you guys as soon as this episode is out, and I really hope we can connect again. Thank you so much for being here. I know you're busy people. Thank you for taking out the time.
No, thank you.
Awesome.
Yes. Questions was amazing. Thank you so much for having us. We look forward to seeing everything you're doing grow.
Yeah.
Thank you.